I'm driven from old age. If I didn't do this, I got nothing else to do. So, and I'm driven with the idea of making the place look pretty. I look at the farm as my art on a large canvas, and I'm out painting every day. Whether I'm, planting wildflowers or cleaning an outhouse, I still consider it sort of my art. That's satisfying. I've been here for 33 years now. I was brought up on a horse-drawn farm in the Ottawa Valley, and it was a little area where time was tethered. And we farmed with horses. We had a nice house for a refrigerator. We had no running water, outdoor outhouses, stuff like that. So this, it's always sort of been in my blood. And even my first memories are muskrat hides on drying boards that went totally through the house, that kind of thing. So I've always felt fortunate that, I've felt fortunate in my upbringing in that I've been on both sides of a historical hinge, right from the horse-drawn era, and now I'm in the computer era. And that's quite a spectrum to have covered. So it's been interesting. My family moved to Sault Ste. Marie in the big exodus off farms in the early 50s when folks came to work in industry. That took me to the Sioux, but I went back to the farm every summer to help my grandfather with the haying. So I still maintain a connection there, and those were the best memories of my life. And that's what the Mockingbird Hill Farm is almost a recreation of my grandfather's farm, only with little different profit centers. Well, I went to school, and then around 1969, school was through with me. So I went and I taught school for a little while. I always tell people I taught school for a couple of days, but it was a better part of 4 years. But to me, teaching school was nothing more than a sea of waving little hands, mostly wanting to go to the bathroom. So when I left that career, I swore no matter what else happened to me in life, I would never again contractually tie myself to the bowels and bladder of another man, and I haven't worked for wages since. After teaching, I went into the clothing business, and I was wildly successful there. I had the Ojadaki Mountain, which was one of the top jean joints in the country at the time, and a contemporary ladies' wear store called Wildflowers. And that's the period of my life when I was cool. I was hip, I was a media darling, the last word on fashion. I was making way more dough, more than I could spend on Saturday night, and traveling the big towns to go buying, Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto. Had a ladies' wear buyer, designing fashion shows, doing the dance steps and choreography for them, and buying dresses. I was a dress buyer with a propensity to lingerie, and no, I didn't wear it, but I enjoyed buying it. So, what happened with that is they got hit with the recession of 1982, lost most of my dough, and I was back on the track. Backing up, I had a 4-year career building wilderness log cabins on remote lakes. So I did that for a while, and then I came to town and got into the clothing business. So after, I think it was 10 years, I was broke and back on the track where I started. Starting over. And eventually landed here, got this, and away we go. I looked around for about 1.5 years, and I wanted a property that would have access to the public, and because of Hiawatha and the traffic up here, this is the perfect place. And by this time, my search was known within the city. So the Conservation Authority approached me, because I leased land from then. I only own up by the house a few acres. I leased back here, and they had a plan, their master plan called for a demonstration farm on this site, and I was happy to provide that. And it was a serendipitous union. We signed a 60-year lease. I still got 30 years to go. 70 years old. Figure on working it right to the end. I envision more or less what we've got today. And we started out, until 5 years ago, we were entirely horse-drawn. Now that I'm 70, we're doing about 50-50 with the horses. I'm with a tractor that I have now. But this is the way I pretty well saw it, and things sort of unfolded once you have a plan, everything, in your own life even, one thing leads to another and there's an evolution, and if you're fortunate, you can keep that evolution going in the directions that you wanted to, and I was lucky enough to do that. I knew I needed an entertainment farm because this land is best suited to be a gravel pit. Thank God it's not. And I knew I could never make a living here on agriculture. I had to have something that reached out in the community, horse-drawn sleigh rides, market garden, parties, stuff like that. Otherwise, I wasn't going to make it. So that's what I wanted too. It's working alone. I found in the bush is pretty satisfying, but if you've got people around a little bit, that's nice too. And since I work here in a situation where it's as close to slavery as the law will allow, I appreciate the public coming here because I can't go to them. I don't leave here too often. We go through the whole calendar, and that's a nice thing with the work too, because you never get tired of a job. By the time you're a little played out with doing something, you're moving on to the next step. So the job rotates all the time. It's very nice, refreshing. So we starting in December, we'll sell Christmas trees, cut your own or buy them off the lot. Sleigh rides all winter, birthday parties in the old church, events, corporate events. Come spring, we used to do maple syrup until I came back to my right mind and worked out the numbers. And we make firewood in the winter for ourselves. We don't sell any, but just to supply the house. Spring is all field management, and again, we're school tours with the little critters, chicks that kids can hold in their hands, and baby lambs and goats and sheep and stuff. Through summer, it's the wildflower experience, and biggest growing category is photography. People are coming for wedding shoots. People are coming for all kinds of family photos. We have sites set up all over, you can see. And so corn maze in the fall, pumpkins, fall decorator stuff in the old church. November is quiet, lonesome. I'm on the fields again. And by that time I need a refreshment, so it's a good month to take a little break away from everybody and come back nice and fresh for Christmas time and sleigh rides. You feel affable, garrulous again. So, the feedback is the most satisfying thing that from the farm, because when people come here, they're happy. They're happy to be here, or they're coming for an occasion. So I'm a little spoiled because I always see people at their best, and it gives you a real nice view of the world when you see people at their best. You need perseverance, that's one thing, and you have to be, you have to just be able to cope with situations, because there's always something. You got to walk the crops every day to see whether you got some pest or another, or you have to be hardworking. You have to be able to work independently, and I don't know what else you would need. You need physical strength. I wish I had more now, but you need a lot of things. You need spirituality. I think I like watching the garden, particularly in July, where you watch it evolve, you watch it develop day after day, and you see the wildflowers coming up on the flowers on the pumpkins, and that whole thing looks nice. I have coffee in the garden every morning, for about a half an hour or so while I wake up, and just stare blankly and appreciatively, and that keeps me going. Yeah, I've done a lot, and I'm very, very lucky that, on the one hand, I gave up a lot because of the hours that I worked at every job, but I gained so much because I was able to unfold my vision at whatever task, at whatever career I was in at the time. I was able to do that, and I'm so grateful for that, because it's a freedom that isn't easily attainable in this world. as things developed, I picked up the persona, so I can be hayseed on short notice, or I can be sophisticated enough to go to the bank, negotiate another loan. My grandfather would be amused because he had lived in genteel poverty, but his little home was beautiful, and it was nested in a garden that would make Better Homes and Garden magazine, and every coffee break we ever had there was on fine china, and it's just elegant poverty, and he would be really proud of me if he was able to see this, and that's satisfying. That's a satisfying thing for me.